You keep dancing with the devil, one day he's going to follow you home.
And welcome to the Mind Your Movies podcast. I'm Ryan,
I'm Shane.
and today letting the devil follow us home. We're talking Sinners.
No, we're
Uh,
not. I'm not dancing.
well, too bad. Um,
You should have just stayed in church.
we are talking Sinners, the 2025 Ryan Coogler movie that is like pretty much just out. It'll have been out for, I guess, a couple weeks at this point, but still pretty new. And we don't want to spoil anything for y'all. So we're going to do a bit of this episode where we don't talk spoilers. So if you're interested in seeing the movie, you can still enjoy the first part of this episode before we get into spoilers, and then go watch the movie and then come back and hear the rest of our thoughts.
Yes, exactly. And I think this is a good format for a lot whenever we do new movies on these little half episodes, just because not everyone has the chance to see it right away. But this movie is really, really good, and it's definitely worth seeing in a theater. Um, but yeah, we'll get into that. So yeah, I mean, Sinners, this is Ryan Coogler's sort of blank check. He's cashing it in. He made some big hits, Creed, the two Black Panther movies, and he's like, now is time for the big swing, a giant, uh, you know, big budget movie stars. We got genre things going on. We're shooting it on IMAX. It's pretty awesome. It's such a big swing, and I think it was very successful. Um, so yeah, this also kind of reminded me of Mickey 17. Uh, Two movies, both with twin performances from the lead star playing two multiple characters, and both directors coming off of really big successes and taking these big swings with kind of outside the box genre movies, and both of them really worked for me. I think Sinners worked even better than Mickey 17 in my opinion, but I really respect these kind of it's cool when filmmakers get to make a unique vision on such a big scale. And so I was happy to see this in the theater and support it. I saw it in IMAX. I don't know if you saw it in IMAX as well.
I did. I saw it on, as I know, a smaller IMAX screen than you went. You went to the nice big one in Providence,
Yep.
which is awesome. Uh, I did get a seat on IMAX, which is great. I mean, I'd say, just jumping in right away, this rocks. Like, see it in the biggest screen you can, if you have the chance.
Yeah.
And the audio in this is very important too. So getting that in IMAX, or even if you can go to like a Dolby cinema or something, right? Getting that really nice audio quality while you're there, I think will make a big difference too in this one. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. I totally agree. And when I saw it, it was a packed house. It was Tuesday night, which is like discount day. So I think people were like, I mean, my tickets were only $7 for IMAX. I was like, because whatever the discounts or whatever, I was like, this is pretty awesome. And it was packed and the crowd was into it. There was a lady, well, a girl, probably like a girl in her early 20s, like next to me, and she, at multiple times she was like talking to the screen like, don't let him in, don't do that. People were laughing, people
yeah,
were people were jumping out of their seats, they were cheering at the end. I mean, it was a really, but it wasn't a like disrespectful crowd, it was just an energetic, like fun crowd. It wasn't like people were on their phones or being crazy. I think one person took a picture of the screen, which was kind of annoying, but besides that, it was a very good crowd, and this is a great movie to see in the theater for the scale of it, the seeing it on a big screen with the super loud, but also to have that communal experience is very fun.
yeah. And that happened even at my IMAX, and I don't even remember. I didn't go on like a discount day or anything. Um, I don't even know. It might have been like an evening showing, maybe, but whatever. The crowd was there was a lot of people there, and everyone was at least gasping, if not you know murmuring to not go into the room or something or whatever it was, right? Um, so I think that definitely helps the experience, and it kind of if you don't get the chance to see this in theaters, hopefully you get the chance to like see this with a few people at home, because I feel like it does have that very communal experience of like, you know, almost in a way of like I feel like slashers often have that feel of like you just want to like shout at the screen and you just want to be like the person in the room that knows what to do and all that, right? And this definitely has that same type of feel, right? Where you want to yell at them for not doing the thing you think they should be doing or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie definitely has that vibe. It's a very fun movie, like fun for an audience, but it's also like really well made and creative and unique. And I really appreciate that fact of
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I mean, so maybe we should actually get into the movie itself rather than talking about the experience of seeing it. But
Yeah.
uh but yeah, this is written and directed by Ryan Coogler. Uh, it's the composer is Ludwig Göransson, who has worked with Coogler on all of his movies, and he also worked with Christopher Nolan on his past couple of movies. It's shot by Autumn Durald Arkapaw, who has shot the past few Coogler movies, I believe. Um, but yeah, so Coogler has like kind of his people that he loves to work with. Like he's worked with Michael B. Jordan on every movie. A lot of like the crew will be the same people that he likes to work with. And he has a very like I've seen interviews with him. He has a very like I don't know, he seems very loyal to the people that he works with and uh I don't know, he just seems kind of like a cool guy. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that definitely helps, right? If you have like that crew that you everyone knows how to work with everyone and it's clear that it's all working out and that everyone can coordinate well, right? You're never gonna, or hopefully you don't have as many incidents on set where, you know, people don't like each other or there's like stupid workplace drama, right? You don't, hopefully you can distance yourself from that. And also everyone, like you as the director, know that these people not only do they work well together, but they actually act well together and, you know, can coordinate well in that artistic way. And
Yeah.
that really pays off, right? I mean, I think anytime that a director kind of has that crew, uh, maybe not anytime, but often I think when they have that crew, right, it pays off in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. And like this is the collaboration with Ludwig Göransson. I noted that because the music is so important to this movie, like in the story and the themes and everything. And it incorporates so many different types of music. There's there's like Irish folk music. There's obviously the blues is the main thing. There's even like heavy metal riffs at a few of the horror uh sequences, which is really cool. Uh, and there's hip hop elements and rock and roll and stuff, but obviously the blues is the main thing. Um, and yeah, it's a big factor in the movie.
Yeah. And the music really like the the like catch line of the movie is something about like, you know, there's stories of people who play music so well it pierces the veil between life and death or whatever, right? And uh that's like said at the during the like teaser trailer, and they say that I think at the very beginning of the movie too. And it's clear that like it's clear from the trailer, it's clear from just everything about this movie that the music is gonna be a huge part of it. And I feel like that's a little risky because then if you go in and the music doesn't live up to all that hype, even if the movie's really good, you kind of expected a lot out of the music. And I don't think that happened here. I think luckily the music was fantastic and it worked really well. But they definitely had a lot of confidence in that, which is
Yeah.
awesome because uh, man, the music was so good.
Yeah, the music rocks, and that sequence of like piercing the veil in the middle, which obviously we're in the non-spoiler section, but there's a sequence of sort of like a transcendent sort of we're going into metaphor and it almost reminded me of the Red Shoes where there is a performance on a stage and then it becomes almost a dream sequence and using cinematic language like to represent this thing that you couldn't represent any other way, and it's just so well done in like this kind of I think it's mostly one take. They're like going through and it's really, really well done. And that sequence is just like awesome. It was like awe-inspiring to see. So I love that.
Yeah, that sequence will like that's like ingrained in my memory. It was so cool. And this is also, we're seeing like different genres of music and different time periods of music kind of all coming together in that moment, when it like pierces that veil or whatever. And it was just, it was like I was like, I I don't know. Music, it's crazy how music can make you feel sitting there in a giant theater, right? It's like that Nicole Kidman commercial at the AMC's, right? Like we come to this place to whatever, and in that moment, it's like, damn, this is why I'm here. Like this is a an incredible feeling to just. It's got to be one of like my top theater experiences in the past like year or something, is just sitting during that scene and taking it in with,
Yeah. I
again, just the huge screen, the loud music. So good.
yeah. I that Yeah, I'm glad that was such a great experience. I felt the same way. It definitely kind of knocked my socks off in the middle. So I love that sequence. Um, I guess like without getting into the story too much, a huge part of the movie also is Michael B. Jordan. He
Yeah.
plays Smoke and Stack, who are twin sort of gangster brothers. I don't know why I said brothers. They're twins, obviously they're brothers. But they're sort of gangsters. This whole movie is set in Mississippi in 1932. Uh, they grew up there. They went to Chicago. People say to work with Al Capone. Who knows if they were really working with Al Capone, but they were, involved in criminal activity. And then they came back to Mississippi and everyone knows them. They're kind of notorious, and that a lot of that is at the beginning. They're sort of reconnecting with people from their past, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, Michael B. Jordan playing both these roles is really fantastic. This might be like his best performance, in my opinion. Just the way he's able to differentiate the two characters with like subtle mannerisms, and how Smoke is this sort of brooding, quiet, but like more menacing, personality, while Stack is a lot more outgoing, and he has a great smile, and he's more, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess outgoing is the word, or charming.
Maybe
Um,
charismatic or something.
yeah, charismatic. Yeah. And Stack wears red and Smoke wears blue, so that also helps us keep track of them, which was nice and helpful.
Yeah.
But but even without that, I think in the performance, like he does a really good job of differentiating the characters without like, it's not like he's doing a ridiculous over the top thing where like one is wacky and crazy and the other one is like sullen, and it's like it's subtle and believable that they're actually twins. And when they're on screen together, it's totally believable. I was never like however they did it with effects and everything, it's totally like seamless, and it was very believable to me that they were real twins.
Yeah, it was definitely some of the most impressive, like twinning or whatever, that of like one actor that I've seen in a movie. It was really believable every single moment. And it felt like at the very beginning, there's this one scene where they're like sitting up against a car and passing a cigarette between the two of them. And the like slowness of that scene and like the emphasis on the two of them passing a cigarette and just taking a breath of it before saying anything and stuff, um, felt like in a way they were just trying to show off how well they were able to make this scene look and feel and sound so real, with Michael B. Jordan doing two roles there. And when that happened, I was kind of like, at first I was like, it does kind of feel like they're showing off here. And I was thinking, I really hope they didn't just like use all of this here and then like you're never going to see them together or whatever, right? Like but they don't do that. You get so much of the two of them together and talking in the same scene with other characters and interacting with other characters together. It was really impressive. And I saw just like a quick like maybe it might have been a short on YouTube or something of Michael B. Jordan talking a little bit about that experience and saying there was like times where they had like pre-recorded stuff that he had said play over a speaker for other actors while he's in the scene with like a body double or something, and times when like people have an earwig in to be able to hear his other, he's playing Smoke at the time, right? Like hear what Stack said because they're supposed to be in the same scene, and all sorts of interesting ways they like played with and tried to use technology to their advantage to accomplish this. And I think it all pays off incredibly well. It's almost flawless. You'd be
Yeah.
really hard pressed to find a mistake here in that.
Yeah, definitely 100%. So I thought that was just very impressive. And it was cool to see. This is probably, I think, Michael B. Jordan's best performance. Obviously, he has a lot of good performances, but I think this is like a little more nuanced with each character.
Mhm.
And obviously it shows like his range of being able to play these two different characters. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd
this is
agree with
like,
that.
yeah, this is a pretty stacked cast though. There's a lot of really great actors here, a lot of really great performances. I mean, Delroy Lindo, it plays a sort of alcoholic blues man who kind of plays music at the train tracks, or at the train station just for some money. He plays at some other, well, Smoke and Stack come back from Chicago and they're trying to open a like club and have like a party night. What, I don't know if there's a word that I'm forgetting. It's like a, not a speakeasy, but almost
Like a
a
club or
yeah, there's a word for it, but
yeah,
whatever. Basically a rural speakeasy, I guess. In like a barn out in the woods or whatever. Um, but they need to hire some musicians and they find Delroy Lindo and he is kind of the comedic uh comic relief in a lot of the movie, but he's really, really good. And there's also a scene in a where he's talking about sort of how difficult it is living in like the Jim Crow South in the 30s and how music is a uh escape from that and it's very like thematically resonant scene there, I thought. Um but yeah, the so he's really good. Also Miles Caton plays Sammy who's kind of actually our main character. He's a maybe like he's a teenager who plays music, and his dad is a pastor played by Saul Williams, and uh, he gets involved in this crazy night. Uh, but yeah, he there's that scene of Miles Caton in the car too, singing with when he starts playing the guitar to show Stack that he can play, and then he starts singing, and Stack is like taken aback, and that was also a really great scene. Um, so yeah, there's just a lot of really great stuff in this movie. Obviously, we can't talk about too much further on, but a lot of really great performances and yeah.
yeah. Great performances, great iconic scenes like the reaction that Michael B. Jordan gives when Sammy's singing in the car. That was also very memorable and another one of those moments where it's like they're really emphasizing how important the music is here, and it pays off really well there. Um, there's also like this one really good tracking shot when Smoke and Stack split up um and is it Smoke, I think? No, Stack ends up at the like in the town looking for someone to make the sign and to get the food and all that, right? And
Yeah, I think that's Smoke that's
god
there because
damn
he
it.
because because he this is when he there's the kid and oh no wait, it might be Stack, I can't remember, because
Yeah.
there's the kid and he's like, I'll give you 10 cents to watch the truck, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
And and then, well, I guess we're not in spoiler section. I mean, it's not really a
Yeah, right.
spoiler, but
But
there's like some shit that goes down a little bit. But I think that I think that was Smoke
yeah, you could be right.
because I think Stack is with Sammy at that time.
Um,
I don't
I don't know,
remember.
but whatever. Listen, they give us the colors, they give us the distinct identities, and it's still a little hard to follow two of the same guy. Um,
Well, it's hard to remember. This is the thing with these episodes after we see it in the
yeah,
theater. Like we don't take as much notes. It's harder to keep track because they split up and like at one point Smoke goes to see his well his wife, I guess, or his the mother of his child, and the child has passed away. It seems like
Yeah.
this happened like before he left for Chicago. Um, and then it's like Stack splits off with Sammy at one
Sammy.
point. So they split off a little bit, and I kind of forget the exact timeline of events, but that's okay.
Yeah. But anyway, so whatever. I think it's probably smoke. I think you're right. But and there's this tracking shot that follows um the kid of the family that they're asking to get all this food and to make the sign. And the kid goes to get the mom and walks across the street, and the tracking shot is like just directly behind her, just following her exactly. And when she gets in there, she talks to the mom, and then the mom comes out, and the tracking shot's almost just the same thing in reverse. Just now it's kind of like leading the mom, I guess, but instead of seeing the back of the kid's head, we're seeing the front. We're seeing her face as she walks back, and it's almost like they just had the camera set up on this track. They could just go forward and backward on. It felt like it was just so smooth and so um uh like I don't know. It looked so well put together there, and that's I think there's just a few times like that where the cinematography was really noteworthy, and I was impressed. Of
Yeah,
course, also you mentioned the music scene earlier with the it felt like one shot, and that was another very big highlight for the cinematography too.
yeah, definitely. There are a lot of cool camera movements and very precise. Like you can tell how, it's very creative and very meticulously put together. I do think some of the shots, I don't know, some of it is maybe creative choice, some of it maybe working with these IMAX cameras and film can be challenging, but some shots do look pretty a little dark and like underexposed. And some of it, like at the beginning in the church, like Saul Williams's face is pretty dark and the light is behind him in the church. And I think that is intentional, maybe to have his face underexposed in shadow.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know. There are other times where it looks pretty dark. I think this might just be a thing with the IMAX cameras because I feel like Dunkirk and Tenet kind of look similar. Like, I don't know. There's just something to the look of them. It's a little, I don't know.
Yeah,
Everything is, it looks a little bit underexposed. Um, but yeah, that was just a little note on the cinematography.
yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying with that too. In terms of the camera movements, I think they really nailed it, which was great. But
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I mean, the another performance we should probably note is Hailee Steinfeld,
yeah,
uh, plays Mary, sort of a former childhood, kind of high school sweetheart, basically of Stack. Uh, yeah, there are a lot of musicians cast in this movie. There's like Miles Caton, Saul Williams, Hailee Steinfeld, Lola Kirk is in this. Buddy Guy ends up showing up. So there are, you know, obviously music is such an important part of the movie, but like Hailee Steinfeld doesn't like sing in the movie or anything like that, but they still cast a lot of musical musically minded people to be in the movie, which is kind of cool. But she gives a very good performance as, you know, sort of the sultry woman. I don't know. uh yeah, but she's very good in this. Also, Wunmi Mosaku, what plays Annie, who's Smoke's wife, and I had never like seen her before. I don't think I was familiar with her. But she's also really good. She also comes to play a part in the movie, and I thought she was also give a really good performance, and that was cool to discover an actress I wasn't familiar with.
yeah, yeah. The cast really was very impressive, and especially like those main characters that we end up with into the main event, right? Like, all of them give very believable and at times, uh, like maybe alarming performances.
Yeah.
Which we will get into maybe after we cross that border of
Yeah.
spoilers in, oh, probably not too much longer, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can get into spoilers soon. I mean, I feel like we talked about a good amount of stuff. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we get to spoilers?
I got one more thing, which is that when um what was the name in the movie of the the other musician that they meet on the tracks again? Not meet on the tracks.
Delta Slim,
Yeah.
Played by Delroy Lindo, he's sort of an alcoholic.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. When they're driving with him, they he's in the car in the passenger seat or whatever, and he's telling some flashback um of the Jim Crow South. And that flashback though is fascinating because um the he's talking about what happened, and instead of like actually showing us a flashback, it just like gives you an auditory flashback where you hear like the stuff that he's talking about happening, right? You hear people whatever shouting, or you hear like a gun go off or whatever is happening when he's talking about that, but you never actually see any of it. So it's not like it's like an auditory only flashback, and it felt very interesting to do that in a movie so centered around audio, as if saying again, like, you know like listening to this movie is almost more important than seeing it, right? Like
Mm.
obviously not exactly that, but like, yeah, it was very interesting to have an auditory only flashback.
Yeah, that is cool. That's a good point. I think that scene with them in the car is like a pretty crucial scene, but that's a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Spoiler time.
Yeah, should we give our ratings now or should we give our ratings at the end?
Fuck it, let's
Does
do
it
it now.
give it now? All
Yeah,
right.
that way people know before they go if
Yeah.
they maybe they'll decide not to see it because we, you know.
No, get out there. If you haven't seen it and you've heard us talking all this, obviously we're gushing about the movie. It's great. Go and check it out. Support it in theaters. It's a really good experience. I don't think you'll regret it. I gave it 4 stars out of 5.
And I actually gave it 4.5 out of 5. I changed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 when I left the theater, and then as I like sat with it for a minute, not a minute, but as I sat with it for a little while, I bumped it up a little bit because it, again, so much like just stuck with me about the camera movements, the audio choices, the music, the scenes. I was uh, like, yeah, it's like really close to uh, just me giving it. I don't know if I would have given it 5 stars. Really, I mean, there's some stuff that maybe we'll talk about that I was iffy on, but overall, I mean, like, there's so much there that yeah, I had to bump it up a little in my head.
Yeah.
But and we can do a
Great.
quick rating recap,
Yeah.
because again, this is pretty early. It only released, was it this week? No.
Well, last week, as of recording, it'll be like 2 weeks ago once this comes out.
Yeah. So these are like really recent reviews. So keep that in mind. But it has 98% on Rotten Tomatoes with 97% audience score. Uh wow. It has 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb and 4.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd, bringing the average over 9.0 out of 10, which is
Wow.
extremely high.
Yeah.
That's one of our highest that we've ever done. Not the highest, but one of them. Um, it is technically, I think it's like in Letterboxd top 200 right now. Yeah, it's number 197 on Letterboxd 250 list for narrative movies,
Wow.
which is like really high.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think obviously, I think there's a lot of hype around this movie, and it's very, uh, people are loving it when they go to see it, which is great. But I'd be surprised if these didn't go down a bit as it gets more audience.
Yeah, I'm sure as more people that aren't like diehard, like super excited for it, see it, it might even out a little bit. But I think this movie does have like a little bit of everything for everyone. It's funny, it's exciting, it's scary, it's sexy, I mean, it's like a bunch of different genres as well. Um, so I think I could see why it appeals to a lot of people, because it's very well made, but also it's kind of crowd pleasing and exciting for general audiences as well. So I see
Yeah,
why it has such appeal. Um,
Definitely. And again, I love this movie. So it's not that I particularly think that it needs to go down, but it does, it's always good to keep in mind that since we're giving that rating recap so early, that's a
yeah,
consideration. But
yeah, definitely. But all right, I
anyways,
guess
go
that
see the damn movie if you haven't seen it
yeah,
yet.
yeah. Yes. It's really good. It's really well made. Get out there and see it. And if you haven't seen it yet, turn off this review, get out of here, scram, because we're
Mhm.
gonna start talking spoilers right now. So
Yes.
yeah, Ryan, this movie's awesome.
This movie's awesome. So a tiny bit of backstory is I went into it thinking. So I only saw like the first teaser trailer, I think, which has that like one line over it about piercing the veil of life and death. And I think it might show someone with red eyes or something or whatever. But I wasn't very sure what was going on, and I kind of went into this thinking it was a zombie movie, and I was not disappointed by it being vampires at all. But I think part of the reason why we didn't want to say anything about it being vampires is because I think it does leave some ambiguity, at least in that first trailer. I don't know about the other ones, but of what it is, and that's cool.
Yeah, it was like I knew that it was going to be vampires, but yeah, once you watch the movie, the first like hour or so, you really have no idea. It's very vague. So, uh it didn't ruin my experience at all to like not know that. It was kind of fun like seeing that they couldn't enter without being invited in,
Yeah,
and like they don't spell it out for you at the beginning, but you can understand the rules, and with the daylight and all that kind of stuff. So, uh, yeah, it didn't ruin my experience at all knowing that it was vampires, but yeah, I did know that going in.
yeah. I was curious if it would feel any different already knowing that or not, because again, by the time that you figure out by the time you figure out that something supernatural is happening, it is pretty clear what's happening. So it's not like necessarily being on the edge of thinking it might be zombies versus vampires or whatever it might be is really a game changer, right? It just,
Yeah.
yeah. But still, I think the less you know, the better. Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. You said that right. Don't second guess yourself. But yeah, I mean, Jack O'Connell plays Remick, who's sort of the lead. I guess he's the devil or he's the head lead vampire. I don't know. And he's seems like he's like an old Irish vampire who's like kind of uh amassed a following of other vampires. And I thought a really good aspect of this movie, which is reminds me of Black Panther actually, is that the villain actually has like a really compelling argument, and it's not like good necessarily, but you completely understand when they're explaining why they're doing what they're doing. You're like, oh, that's actually like compelling. I totally understand why someone would hear that and be like, hey, it might not be so bad to be a vampire. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a good aspect of the movie that the villain is actually kind of convincing.
Yeah, I agree. And the the way that like he talks about, the injustices and exposes the fact that the guy that sold him land was planning on killing them, right, and whatnot, is really interesting because he says that like once he turns someone, he has their knowledge and stuff, and so as he's turning more and more people in the town, he's learning a lot more and is able to like tell them more, and it's like, is he just appealing to their like is he just appealing to them because he knows more about them and he's hoping that will do it, or is he like actually caring about them and like wants them to have a better, you know ever after, right?
Yeah, right.
Right,
It's not exactly clear if he's just telling them what they want to hear.
right,
Um,
because he
but
knows what they want to hear, kind of.
yeah, right. And yeah, that's kind of the whole thing with I mean, I think ultimately this is like kind of a Christian movie with the like its themes and ideas. But like that is kind of an idea with the devil like tempting you. Like and for the temptation to be real, it has to actually be tempting, right? So
Yeah,
I think that is makes sense thematically as well.
yeah, definitely. The the other so it's interesting because when I didn't know if he had a following before this night or not, right? Because then he turns a couple
Yeah.
people at the beginning of the night, and then the three of them go together to the barn, and then at one point the barn, whatever, everyone like leaves the barn, and then later on there's like a huge mass of kind of vampires.
Yeah.
And so to me, I'm like, did all these people just come from the barn, or did more like come like did he have more guys like come in after, like from afar? I don't know.
Yeah. That was very unclear. Because yeah, a bunch of people do leave, like they leave the barn. There's no way that they're turning all of those people.
Like
It that,
that sucks too. Like if you like if
yeah,
they slaughter everyone that leaves the damn thing.
right.
Damn.
Yeah, because they do get the Asian guy, I forget Bo.
Yeah.
They get him. But yeah, that element was one of my like kind of things that didn't 100% work for me was sort of this big horde of
Yeah.
vampires. And when they fight them at the end, like that scene was cool, but also it was kind of chaotic and it wasn't fully convincing that this group of like eight-ish people was gonna defeat this like horde of dozens of vampires, and the vampires are like seem to be like really strong and fast and overpowered and like very difficult to kill. So that scene was like uh I wasn't fully convinced that they were actually gonna win that fight. Like, and they kind of just do, they just make the action chaotic. So they're like, ah, well, you don't have to worry about it. How they defeat every single one. It's just okay. They won the fight, you know?
Yeah, I 100% agree. That scene was definitely one of, I don't even know if it's like necessarily that I didn't like the scene. Like you said, like the scene was like it was exciting, it was interesting, but it was also like it was kind of quick too, in the sense that like by the time that the conflict really starts, like there's this kind of conflict of like let them in or don't let them in, and like people
Yeah.
being, trying to get persuaded to let them in and stuff. And but
That's
when they actually end up getting inside from
because
that,
fucking Grace just tells them all to come in. That was
yeah, yeah.
so
But
dumb.
by the time that that happens, the actual like physical conflict is very rapid. It's very quick. It's very chaotic. And I was kind of like, I was thinking to myself, like, one, like you said, it didn't feel very convincing. But two, I'm like, I kind of would have enjoyed a little bit more, like to understand more about like, you know, how are they going to take out this board, right? Like, you got to like split them up somehow or do something. Like, I don't know. There's got to be something more to do here, and they didn't really.
Yeah.
There was nothing else. Like, I thought maybe they were gonna like go upstairs. They were gonna like say, "Come on in," but then they couldn't go upstairs for some reason. Like they had to get invited again upstairs somehow. Like I thought they were
Hmm.
gonna have
Or
some backup.
yeah, set some kind of a trap or something like that.
Yeah, but no. Um,
Yeah.
and it was so close to daytime too. Like
Yeah, they could have
put a
just
sock
waited.
in Grace's mouth or something. Like,
Yeah, they that was really dumb. I understand she's like kind of hysterical and like her daughter is they're probably gonna murder her daughter, so that would I understand why she'd be freaking out, but oh man, yeah, that was a really dumb decision.
yeah, but other like yeah, that that scene again, and from like the moment that the doors open there and the fight starts, that's like I don't know. It must be like 5 to 7 minutes or something of fighting before the bigger, I guess, the more drawn out conflict of Smoke versus his brother and uh, Sammy ending up outside and then fighting off against what's his face, the main vampire guy.
Yeah, and when uh Delta Slim like sacrifices himself and then
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, which was sad.
Yeah, it was. But as once he was in the movie, I was like, I think this guy's dead. Like
Yeah.
he seemed like he was dead from the jump.
Well, it's interesting because the beginning of the movie actually shows us Sammy getting back to church and getting embraced by his dad and kind of alleviated maybe of his sins or whatever, right? But uh, and you can see that he's like injured or whatever, but also that's a pretty good guess that like he might be the only one that makes it out, you know? Like
Yeah, yeah. I guess well wait, does Smoke survive? Or does Stack I'm pretty
uh
sure Smoke
one
survives too.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Cause
survives that night, but then gets into the shootout
oh yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
end
Duh,
and then
duh, duh, duh,
dies.
duh.
And he joins his kid and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Duh, 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 duh,
but
duh. All right, that was
so
me forgetting like the huge end of the movie, the entire thematic thing that
no, that's okay.
made the
That is
movie
also
matter.
like
Okay.
because I think that might technically also happen after we see Sammy reuniting with his dad. Because I think it's like cutting between those two things
Yeah,
at the end.
yeah,
But
yeah. Really great ending though.
yeah.
That was when the crowd cheered when he comes out and he just starts mowing down the KKK guys. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
yeah,
And then the last guy, the just unloading the clip, like he literally just reloads a clip and then loads it into the one guy.
yeah,
That was great.
yeah. That was
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, I think the like after so when we get out of the big fight scene again and we get like Sammy reuniting and the thematic stuff at the end, it's great again. Yeah, but it's just like that brief moment where I'm like, I just wanted a little bit more out of that, you know. And the movie is
Yeah,
like 2 hours and
20
2 hours and
minutes.
17 minutes. So like it's not that I really want necessarily a 3 hour movie here. I really don't. But I did want a little bit more from the physical conflict that ended up happening. But
I get that. I think that was like a little nitpick that I had, I guess,
yeah,
but it didn't ruin the movie for me at all. Like I think also just once they get to the barn and the party's going on, like everything that's going on is very, I don't know, there's just a good energy to the movie. So it was, it's a bit of a longer movie, but it never felt like it dragged to me really.
yeah,
There's always something going on, like the characters split up. They keep it interesting throughout with all the characters and all the interpersonal drama and stuff like that. So I thought all that was really good. Yeah, and then the ending is very good. You know, yeah, he goes to heaven, I guess, with his child and his wife. Um, so yeah,
yeah.
and
Um,
then did you see
yes,
the post credit scenes?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, right. Actually, like a really good post credit scene. The credits roll and you see, uh, uh, you know, Buddy Guy playing Sammy all grown up in 1992 in Chicago, and he has his own club, and friggin' Mary and Stack walk in dressed like 80s, early 90s, late 80s, like cool people. And uh yeah, they tell him like, oh, Smoke told me like he would let me live if I let you live out your life. And he like offers him eternal life as a vampire. And he sort of says, ah, no, it's okay. I'm tired of this life, I guess. Um, but yeah, really, really cool scene.
Yeah, yeah, it was really neat to see. I did not expect like such an interesting and also like kind of like story changing scene at the end. Not that it changes it a ton, but like the fact that the two of them didn't die is I was surprised.
Yeah. Huh.
um,
Definitely. And like it kind of gives their characters like that nice it's kind of cool that the vampire life, I don't know. It it's that it's actually you understand why people would like it, I guess, almost. I guess. I don't know. Like the character, it's nice. It gives those characters a happy ending, even though they get turned into vampires, which is pretty funny.
yeah.
Um,
Although maybe they'll end up being lonely, like our. I guess I don't really know if these are his full motives, but like Remick starts turning people, right? I mean, maybe he's just lonely, right? I mean, he's lived out who knows how many lifetimes, and
yeah,
finally is bored and wants people to be forever with him or whatever.
that,
Maybe.
yeah, that would make sense. That would
So
make
maybe it's
sense.
only a matter of time for these guys.
Yeah, that's true. But
Sinners 2.
I feel like this opens up like you could absolutely have a sequel to this. Like, and you could set it in any era. You could set it in the 80s, 90s, you could set it in today. You could
Yeah.
have Mary and Stack being vampires and they have to, who knows what happens. Um, yeah.
Or you could have a sequel where it's like people are hunting them. So like kind of turn the
Ah,
book a little bit, you know?
yeah, there's like a Blade or
Yeah.
type character and they're trying to and you're seeing it from their perspective the whole movie.
Yeah, like somebody else that actually survived that night that we didn't know survived or something. Well, that might be no. I mean, they'd be old or something, but whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know. You could have something there.
Yeah, definitely. That would be
Um,
cool. And then did you see that there was a final post credit scene at the very end? It's just Miles, Caton playing music. He plays a
oh,
song in the church. He sings like a blues song.
I don't know. I might have missed that one. I don't know.
Mm. It's at the very end of the
Yeah,
all of the
like
credits.
yeah, I don't know if I stayed for that one. I might have missed it, but
Gotcha. Yeah, it
bummer
wasn't
about the
as
music.
crucial. What?
Well, it's a bummer to miss the music in this thing,
Yeah. Yeah,
though.
true.
Yeah, that. So I guess one one other small thing that I would say felt a little overwhelming at first in the movie, but then especially as we had more time in the like barn area, it felt better and better for me. But there was a lot of characters. And I feel like at the beginning, right, when we're being introduced to all the characters and learning a little bit about them, but not a lot yet, I was like, oh God, give me a notebook, you know? But then as we're in the barn and it's clear that there's like it's clear who the main characters really are um and everything. I definitely felt more comfortable and cared more about the characters and all that. But there was a moment there where I was a little nervous. I was like, oh God, there's a lot of people here. But
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. And they have such a big cast partially, I think, because characters need to die and turn into vampires and stuff.
yeah.
Um, so there's like Omar Benson Miller plays Cornbread, and he's sort of like the doorman. I
Yeah.
really liked him. His character. I think all the characters are pretty like well characterized, and they're endearing. You come to like them, and you know, I cared about a lot of the characters. Also, we didn't mention Perline, who's played by Jamie Lawson, who's sort of the love interest for Sammy.
Right. Oh
And
my God. That's right.
yeah, and then at the end, I think Sammy's club is called Perline's.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he has to kill her when she turns into a vampire, right?
yeah.
Uh, I think Smoke has to kill his love interest too. His right? He has to
Oh,
stab her when
yeah,
she
yeah. His
turns.
his wife, or yeah,
His
he
wife,
does.
yeah.
Because she's like, don't let me turn into a vampire.
A lot of having to kill the people you love in this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That sucks.
I'll tell you what. One thing about Perline, there's a scene in this where they all have to eat garlic.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah,
And she was so annoying about the garlic. Just eat
yeah,
the damn garlic, lady. It's
yeah.
not
This
that
isn't really the
bad.
time to. Yeah, they're like trying to decide if they should stab a stake into your heart. I don't think it's really
Yeah,
the time to be like, I
be
don't
a
like
picky
garlic.
eater.
Yeah,
Get out of here, lady. Eat the damn garlic.
yeah.
Anyway, that was like
Um,
that reminded me of like the thing where it's like you don't know if anyone is the one. They have to do their test to see who's human and who's not, kind of thing.
well, then that was an interesting twist because it turned out the guy that they thought was dead, and that's why they were testing everyone because they thought that one of them must have killed this guy. Turns out he wasn't dead, and they just dragged him outside,
Yeah,
and then he died. That
yeah,
sucked.
yeah. True.
Which another like again like also sending all these people out into they didn't know it was the vampires, right? They just told everyone to leave. And
Yeah.
again, I don't really know if that's where this whole horde came from or not. I don't know, but I'm sure some of them died. You know, I mean, we saw Cornbread, we saw the other guy they dragged outside. He died.
Bo.
Bo died outside. So like, there's no doubt that those guys got a few people outside at least, right? And so
Yeah.
there's a lot of like this like kind of accidental letting like bringing someone to their death thing, um,
Mm.
which I don't know. There's something there maybe, but that
Yeah, I
sucks.
mean, it
That's a
makes
lot
sense.
of
Like
guilt.
if you don't know what's going on, if someone just gets killed, it's like, well, yeah, get everyone the hell out of here. We'll figure it out. It's the logical thing to do, but in
Yeah,
retrospect,
you might have just killed like 50 people or something.
yeah,
You
I
don't
guess
know,
that's
right?
true.
It's not your fault, but
Right.
um, yeah. Also, the death scene with Stack um,
Ugh.
is one a little funny, but two kind of crazy when he turns into a vampire. Not
Yes.
not he dies. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Uh,
that's also another scene where some like Smoke, whatever. There's a guy who like owes them money or something like that, and Smoke tells Sammy to go get Stack, and this is also it's funny when Sammy is having sex in the room and Stack hears him and he like smiles and he's like, "That's my cousin." That
yeah,
was funny. But then after that, now it's reversed and now Stack is having sex with Mary and he opens the door and it looks like they're just having sex. So he closes it and he goes back to Smoke. And then when they come back, they realize she's uh murdered him and that she's a vampire. Um, but yeah, what about that? Oh, that's another scene where he leaves just thinking he's doing the right thing, but turns out now she's killed.
yeah. And so all this like deceit, right? And not no, not only just deceit, but like in that moment, uh, she was pretending to be a human, I guess, or whatever. Um, but also just like not knowing the dangers, right? And then sending people into the danger or not saving them from the danger and then them dying. And I think there's a lot of like uh, a lot of guilt that could be associated with that. And I don't yeah. Also
Yeah,
just that sucks. Like,
yeah, exactly.
damn.
There is the part where I think Sammy like feels bad. He's like, "Oh my God, I should have stopped them. I thought they were having sex or whatever, making love or something." But
Yeah.
so yeah, it does explore that a little bit. But also, I feel like that's just kind of a good thing to have in a movie where characters are making decisions based on their knowledge is of the situation rather than just whatever they need to do for the plot.
Yeah.
And most of the character decisions make sense, besides maybe Grace just yelling for all of the vampires to come inside the barn. That was
Yeah.
one of probably the dumbest one. But
But again, even though it makes sense in their perspective, with our knowledge, right? We're like, no, don't send them away, or like don't let them in, or whatever it is, right? And so that kind of gets back to that whole like engaged theater experience or whatever, right? Which is really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
That play on like dramatic irony or whatever it is, right? Where we
Yep.
know more than they do, and so we want to to shout at them and tell them what we know, but
Yeah. Yep.
we can't pierce that veil like they can.
Yeah, true. That's a lot big appeal of horror movies, you know? And
Yeah,
this is like it's so many different genres. It's a horror movie, it's a period piece, a drama, a comedy, um a kind of a thriller, I guess, you know, a vampire movie.
kind of a musical. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
really a musical. There's not. I wouldn't say there's that much. Well, I mean,
it,
actually, there kind of is.
there's
There's
musical sequences.
yeah, yeah,
The
um,
Irish Jig.
yeah. I forgot about the Irish jig. That's right. And
Yep.
there's enough singing in the car and getting the guy at the train station, and yeah, you could call it a musical. But
Yeah, I think you could. It's a period piece horror drama musical.
yeah,
Yeah, pretty cool.
easy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I have that much else to say. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think really like I think there's a lot of thematic reading that you could do into this that I think we've
Yeah.
already been yapping for too long, so I don't know if we really want to jump into any of that, but I'm sure there's lots of people that you can find out there discussing the thematic readings on a lot of this movie, and like we brought up a little bit about like the religious undertones and stuff, but there's a lot here, which is cool.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I thought maybe one of the biggest things was sort of that temptation uh from like the devil and still choosing to uh be on the side of good, I guess, be on the side of God and having salvation in the afterlife and all that. That seemed to be the big theme there
Yeah,
rather than, yeah. But also obviously racism in America and uh also like music and culture and how music is a release and an escape and an expression of trauma for, Black people in America. And I think that Pierce the Veil sequence like shows you that through time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Which again was so cool to see. Like we didn't really talk too much about the time travel aspect there, but you see like the futuristic guy with the cool like future electric
Like
guitar.
yeah, like well, yeah, like 70s like Parliament, like Sun Ra, like
Yeah.
type stuff.
Yeah. And you see people with more traditional like drums and all sorts of stuff. And it was really, I mean, that was
Yeah, and there's hip hop, there's turntables, there's people twerking at one point. Yeah, it's very, very
and
cool.
and one other thing that we see there is we see like Asian cultures there too
Yeah.
when we're following Lisa's parents. I forget their names in the movie, but
Grace and Bo.
Grace and Bo. And and it's funny that I remember the kid who is barely in the movie, but
Yeah.
whatever. But and so it's interesting that we actually see like the different culture as we follow the different people, which is cool. But
Yeah.
it's like it means something to each person, you know. It's like not necessarily that it means one thing. But
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. Very cool.
anyways, I think that's a lot of yapping.
Yeah, I think that was a good episode. Good discussion. Great movie. Um, yeah, I guess that's that for this episode. What was it? 16.5, I think.
Yeah, 16.5. We are that's what 37 no 30 33 episodes or something. It's a
Something like
lot.
that. I think 32. Yeah.
32. Yeah, because we've
Yeah.
done a point 0.5 for every episode.
Yeah. Yeah, our original idea was like, oh, we could do this like bi-weekly, but then we were like, oh, we could do half episodes in between, and now we've done it, so now it's just weekly.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
we still stick with the half thing because we only do the of course we only do
yes,
the two movies where we pick each one from the
category.
category cup. That's
Mhm.
only bi-weekly. So then we kind of
Yeah,
fill in with other stuff we want to do.
yeah,
Speaking of, make sure that you guys tune in. Well, first of all, share this around if you know people that are thinking about seeing the movie and they want to watch the spoiler free portion. Feel free to share this with them. The more people that hear it, the better. Hopefully, I don't know, but
yeah.
certainly helps us a little bit. So feel free to do that. Leave us 5 stars or whatever. However, you guys can engage or recommend us to people is great. If you think we deserve that. Otherwise, if you don't think we deserve that, but you want to hear more of our stuff next week, make sure you tune in for uh, single location movies where I picked Wreck and Shane picked Rear Window. So we're watching Wreck Gear Window is that episode title. And the week after, are we doing a Kubrick tier list or is that
I
not
think
yet?
so. I think that's the plan. We're gonna try to figure that out. We're gonna, have probably on the YouTube, we'll have a screen with a tier list going on, and we're gonna do all of Stanley Kubrick's feature films. We're gonna make a tier list.
That'll be awesome. So make sure that
Yeah.
you tune in for all these cool stuff we've got coming up. And if you don't follow us on places yet, our letterbox is the best place to see all of our links. Mind Your Movies, all one word on letterbox will bring you to our page. And on there, you can click on any of our links to our Instagram, our Blue Sky, our all of our podcast streaming sites, our YouTube, etc.
Yep. Cool.
We'll see you
Bye.
next time.